What's up, everybody? Ben Rasa here for Odd Shopper College Football. Week 5 is here, and what a week it is. Last week was kind of a bad card. Not going to lie, the results were also bad, but that's irrelevant in terms of strength of games. But we are treated to some of the biggest matchups of the entire season, back to back to back. You better not be doing anything tomorrow. Tell your families you got stuff to be doing on the TV because these are elite games, and we are going to put some bets on the board for those very same games. We're going to run through the teams. We're going to run through the question marks. I'm going to give you some bets. We're going to have some fun. Welcome to the channel, though. First things first, if you just joined us here at Odd Shopper Entails, which I will be talking about, welcome aboard. All things betting, picks, tools, breakdowns, your home for all things sports betting. Take a look around this channel. If you like the content, press subscribe. Stick around a little bit, completely free. Just press that button and you're in business. Let's dive right into the action. I mentioned last week, it was blah. It was good early, and then it was just bad late. Didn't get there. Texas State, I'm looking at you. But let's not ramble. Let's get to these games because there's a lot to get to here. Friday games, I do have plays there, and I'll show you how to get them in a little bit. But we're starting with high noon kickoff in Fayetteville. We've got Notre Dame. We've got Arkansas. I'll get to a side, and I'll get to a total here. Over 63.5 is very interesting. Let's see what we've got over on DraftKings. I do think this is going to be a track meet. I think most people think that, 63.5 has been moving around. I'm going to click that right in. I also do like Notre Dame in the game. Give me the -1. We're going to take 2 picks right off the bat, and let's talk about why. Well, it's pretty simple. Arkansas can't stop anybody. We bet Memphis against them last week. Memphis ended up winning outright. I shorted Arkansas before the year. Don't think they're going to win many, if any, SEC games. And then on their side, Taylon Green's been awesome. Dual threat quarterback. He's leading the team in rushing. He's throwing the ball all over the place. He's going to have some success, but I don't know how Notre Dame doesn't run through Arkansas. Literally, figuratively, they're just going to be wild on the ground with their 2 running backs. Carr will make plays over the top. Notre Dame is scoring. I feel extremely confident in that. I feel pretty confident that Arkansas is going to get their fair share as well. I mean, Notre Dame, you have a couple not bad losses, tough losses to start the season. Miami and Texas A&M, those are good teams. You play Purdue and you give up 30 points at home to Purdue. That's bad. Now the game wasn't ever in doubt. It was 56-30, but that defense has just not worked. They've made some personnel changes. They're not getting a pass rush. I'm a little worried about Notre Dame, both lines, but particularly that front on defense. Arkansas is going to have some opportunities to make plays. The simple fact of the matter, though, Arkansas is not going to be able to stop anybody. We saw Ole Miss hung 41 on them and won in a shootout. We'll talk about Ole Miss later in this video. Arkansas has shown no ability to stop anything. And again, I can't reiterate enough, Notre Dame's dual threat in the backfield, 2-headed monster. It's going to be running wild here. This is the type of game I think it could mirror a lot of what we've seen with Arkansas, which is they stay competitive and they simply can't get the stops when they need to. Notre Dame team total is in play. Let's see what that is. I mean, we can do it in our heads with the implied totals, but we could just click in as well and not have to do math right on the video. Let's see. 34. Yeah, so 5 touchdowns and you're there. I'm fine with that. And even them, they're going to have a 27, 28, 29 type implied total. Pretty healthy on both sides. Even this first half, 16. These are all playable spots for me. All things over. Not all things Notre Dame in the sense I don't think they're going to just crush Arkansas, but I would take this at 4.5. I'll get things started with a little 2-pack. Notre Dame and the over in this high noon kickoff. Let's keep it rolling. We're going to go a little more rapid fire today. So you're going to get more bets in the same amount of time. Who doesn't like that? A lot of these are, again, I'm doing this on Friday morning. We'll lock in the card over on Tails in a little bit, and you can go there and get these plays for absolutely free. See the analysis, have some fun. Let's talk about USC and Illinois. Bang! This was a big misstep by me last week. I was simply wrong about Indiana. Or I was wrong about Illinois, or I was wrong about both of them. All 3 of those are possibilities because they got taken to the woodshed. They were absolutely dismantled by Indiana, 63-10. They scored a whopping 3 points in the last 3 quarters. They scored no points in the second half. Nothing went right for Illinois. Now it's one game. Maybe the high noon kickoff again. USC, they're flying all over the place. They're playing, an awkward schedule. They're 4-0. I don't think they've really been tested. Michigan State's improved, but not to the caliber that I think. I don't know what to make of Illinois. What do they have left? Are these fixable problems? Well, obviously, I think they're somewhat fixable because I am clicking this. It's definitely not my favorite bet in the world, but I'm going back there. I really trust Altmaier. He is working behind a makeshift offensive line, and this is a problem. I will be the first to admit it. Illinois, I don't know if they can hold up. On the flip side, they have two, to me, distinct areas of real problem. The secondary. Not only is it shaky, missing multiple players in the rotation there, and I don't think they're getting them back. We'll see as we get closer to Saturday. That could be a problem as well because USC definitely has the ability to throw the ball, and we have seen that through the first 4 weeks. Now, level of competition, not the strongest I've ever seen in the world. 4-0. Missouri State, you scored 73. That doesn't mean anything. Georgia Southern, you scored 59. That doesn't mean anything. Purdue, you scored 33. Notre Dame just hung 56 on them. And then Michigan State, you scored 45 points. So they're hanging up points in bunches. Maeva has been awesome. He's got 9 touchdowns. He's got 0 interceptions. He's kept it very clean. But this is the first true road test. I mean, Purdue's Purdue, but Illinois is a good enough team to beat USC. I'm not giving up on the Illini. I'm hoping they can mask these problems because they have some really good pieces to this team. We saw it against Duke. We've seen it. They return a ton of starters from last year. They have an identity on the ground. If they can slow the game, and I think that they can, this is going to be competitive. Don't give up on Illinois yet. I'll admit there are problems, and those problems might not be able to be overcome. But if Altmaier can stay upright and keep it clean, they have a chance to bounce back in a big way against USC. I'll take my points. I want my 7. I'll lay the 5 cents at minus 115. Give me the Illini to keep it competitive this week. All right, we're off and running here. We are off and running 2 games down. We already gave you 3 bets. A lot more to go. Scrolling. I'm going to have a play here, but I'm not going to tell you. We'll see. I haven't finalized it yet, but I think I'm going to. Got to play here. LSU. Give me my 1.5. I hope they lose. I like Ole Miss. I'm a fan of them. Strictly business, though. I don't really get this line. I should say it. I get the line. I just think ultimately, if you want the short version and you want to skip to the next game, this is it. Nussmeier against that secondary. I don't think they can stop him. This is another game similar to Notre Dame. I think you go over here if you want to. I have no problem with that. 56.5 at minus 115. That's another potential play if you don't want to take a side because Ole Miss is going to score. Georgia State, 63 points. Kentucky, they hung 30. Arkansas, they outscored them 41-35 in a wild game. And they just decimated Tulane 45-10 last week. Let's give a shout out to Chambliss. This guy, Trinidad, he's awesome. Big fan. Big step up against a much stronger defense in LSU, but he's taken this quarterback job and he's running with it. They've looked good. They're another team that have O-line issues. There's a lot of teams out there where offensive line is the weak link, and I think that Ole Miss is one of them. Same things I talked about with Illinois are very, very congruent to Ole Miss. Their secondary as well. It's not really a injury situation, more as just they don't have the personnel, and they're playing a signal caller. Not to jump between 2 games. Maeva is good. Nussmeier is really, really good. He's got weapons on the outside. LSU can't run the ball at all in this game. They might not need to run the ball a ton. I think they just start throwing it. Maybe Ole Miss can keep up. This is why over 56.5 also has some utility in my mind. I'm going to click this in. We're going to, like I said, more bets today. But I do think that LSU kind of has shown they are a serious threat. Now, this is not their fault at all. Their schedule has aged terribly so far. They went into Clemson in Death Valley and won. Amazing win. Certainly doesn't look that good now. Louisiana Tech, not to their caliber. Florida, talented team, but Florida's losing to all the good teams so far. And then they played Eastern Louisiana. That's an FCS school. So you look at the resume, fantastic start. Clemson's not any good, it turns out. I don't know why, but they're just not. And Florida's Florida. So we'll see what LSU can do here. The books are giving a lot of respect to Ole Miss. I was a little surprised to see them as the favorite, even at home. And I understand, going on the road in the SEC is very difficult no matter where you're going at this point, even Starkville. Shout out Mississippi State. I will give the edge to LSU, and I will give the edge to the over here. 56.5 points. Give me the over and give me LSU to pull off the minorest of upsets. All right. We're going, and actually, before I get to any more plays, I mentioned that I'm going to have some plays that I don't even put on this video. Doesn't mean you can't find them. You absolutely can right over on Tails. It's fantastic. You go over here. You go to tails.bet. You can also go to oddchopper.com. And you're going to be right at your fingertips the ability to tail hundreds of different people. You find who you want. It doesn't matter. You can get different experts here, there, tennis, WNBA. Look at this. Greg is dropping 1 million bets. Mikey Masher, Jedi. Find who you want to follow. If you want to follow them, just press follow, and then you'll get just a perfectly good curated feed of just those plays. So you go and you follow me. The link is below, and you'll be getting plays right like this for free right there. If you want to get in Discord, that's always available in a premium section. But this is awesome stuff. Coolest thing we've done. This is what I'm talking about. Game-changing stuff. I drop a pick, right? You see this, Virginia? Say, all right, sweet. All you got to do is just press tail pick. Boom. Odds pop up. One click, and you tail it. That is what I'm talking about. We worked really hard on this, and it is live, and it is available. So come check it out for yourself. I'm going to be dropping free college football picks right there, and you can tail it in a simple click. You press follow, turn on your notifications so the picks get sent right to your device, and you're in business. Really, really fun stuff. Shout out to our devs. But yeah, man, Tails, link in the description. Come and follow me. Join, and I'll be dropping free content all day tomorrow for these Saturday games, live bets, all sorts of fun stuff. Let's get to some more games. Let's see what else we can come up with here on this video. I do have a couple more, and Southern Miss. That's an interesting one. Maybe on the card, maybe not. Ding, ding, ding. Here we go. Oregon and Penn State. You could debate forever what's bigger, Alabama and Georgia or Oregon and Penn State. You're not going to go wrong no matter who you say. Those are two monster games. In terms of betting, I like this game a lot more than I like the other game, and I like Penn State. I don't know what exactly I'm going to do with this. I know I'm betting Penn State. I just don't know exactly how. Am I going to roll them in multiple parlays? Am I going to lay 3.5 straight? Am I going to do both? I do like this spot quite a bit. These teams are awesome. Let's talk about it. We don't have a ton to talk about because there's a lot of unknowns here. Oregon, they crushed 4 below average teams because that's what they do. They're awesome. Dante Moore is awesome. Everything about them is very, very legitimate. They just handle their business. They got through the Civil War, 41-7. There's not that much to pick apart with them. Moore's got 11 touchdowns and a lone pick. They're running for nearly 7 yards a carry. All of this is great stuff, but they just haven't played anybody to the caliber of Penn State. That's just a fact, whether you think they win or lose. On the other side, Penn State, they haven't played anyone to the caliber of Oregon. That's a double fact. Penn State's played even weaker competition. Penn State beat Nevada by 35 points. Then they played FIU. They won by 34 points. Then they played Villanova, the FCS school, more of a college basketball school, and they won by 46. Then they had a bye. You couldn't write a better script to prep for Oregon coming to your house at night. Happy Valley at night. I'm sure it'll be a whiteout. But it's not a good situation. This is problems for Oregon, I think. This is just a really, really tough spot. Penn State's had the extra prep. They have shown absolutely nothing on film. Aller, Singleton, Allen, everybody's there. The offensive line is intact. we'll see how good Penn State's defense is. That's a reasonable question mark in my mind. Obviously, you don't replace Abdul Carter amongst others that easily, but I think they'll hold up nicely at home. This is not indicative of a larger problem, no matter who wins this game or who loses this game, rather. But I think Penn State on both sides of the ball will have the advantage. You throw in that the game's at night at home. The books know that. Of course, it's baked into this line, but it should be. And Penn State should be the favorite, and they will get it done. Maybe it's going to tick to 4. I'll take it at 3.5. Obviously, would I have preferred 3 or 2.5? Of course. Just not there. Shop it, see what you can find. Penn State, statement win at home. They take control of the early landscape of college football. They're going to be, I think both these teams will clearly be in the playoff, and it's not impossible, kind of flipping what Oregon did with Ohio State last year, that they meet again in the future, maybe multiple times, who knows, and Oregon gets their revenge. But for this one, Nittany Lions for me. Should we talk about UMass? No. 44.5 points, though. That's a lot of points. And they're going to need every single one of them. There's no doubt about it. You better have 2 TVs or multiple TVs, because I'm not even sure 2 is going to cut it. But they've got Alabama and Georgia and Oregon and Penn State on at the same time. That is nasty business, because we need to see all of these games. This game is even tougher to me. I just clicked in the dogs, and we'll talk about it. Of all the games that I've given, this is my least confident. I would say my least favorite. But you're going to have boosts and promos and all that stuff. And again, that is why I'll just mention it once again. Get to this screen. Go to tails.bet. Links in the description. And for free, I'll be dropping insight on all these games for sure. And it's one click to tail instantly. Really, really game-changing stuff. Turn on notifications. Don't miss out. Don't be wondering when I drop picks. Just get a quick alert. You'll be in business. Georgia and Bama, they're not in the same positions as Oregon and Penn State, because Alabama already lost. So the margin's a little thinner for them. Georgia has not lost. They kind of should have lost to Tennessee, survived a game-winning kick, but they're undefeated. So let's talk about it. We'll start with Bama. They lost to Florida State. It's aged very nicely. Florida State looks to be very good, even though they'll be tested tonight against Virginia potentially. They're off a bye. Ty Simpson has looked good. I know there's been some worry, and obviously when you lose to Florida State, a lot of people are up in arms. It's around 10 yards per attempt. The Georgia secondary is a serious problem right now. Aguilar had their way with them. They gave up over 40 points to Tennessee. Alabama, I think, will score. A lot of these teams, I think, are going to be able to move the ball this week. I'm not sure about the rushing attack, but Alabama through the air, I do think will have some success. I could say the same about Georgia, though, and Gunnar Stockton. He's been solid as well. It's 2 teams that I think they could both be in the playoff. Alabama's got obviously very dangerous ground here if they lose. They're certainly going to have to run the table, and you don't want to be messing around with a couple losses in a couple of weeks to start the season. Georgia is at home. Now, again, these are noisy. It matters. It really matters. Of course, home field matters. Georgia hasn't lost at home in I don't know when the last time they lost at home, but it's been multiple years, half a decade potentially. They're very, very good at home. Now, those teams that I'm referencing, some of them wouldn't have lost if they played the game on Mars. It doesn't matter. They were just the best team. But them at home is serious business. What they need to clean up is certainly the secondary. That is, I would really assume, Kirby's area of concern. They're just not getting it done in limiting these teams through the air. I mentioned Tennessee, which is the only real data point that we have. They get absolutely torched through the air, massive gains. They crushed Marshall. They beat Austin Peay only 28-6, but that just doesn't matter. They were not paying attention. And you look, they gave up 371 yards to Aguilar. It was just a disaster on only 36 attempts. That is massive numbers. Just really, really a problem. Georgia, they ran the ball 55 times against Tennessee. Again, the game went to overtime. Only 3.6 yards per carry, but Stockton was good. He had over 300 yards. They spread it around nicely. Branch and Young, Humphreys, all these different guys. I think they're going to do enough. I really respect Alabama. I think that loss in Tallahassee, although that's not what you want to be doing, the game did not go their way. Florida State's better than we thought. Alabama's going to be okay. But this is as tough as it gets. This is as bad as Penn State at night. It's the type of game, if I didn't have boosts, I probably wouldn't even touch this game. But we're going to have boosts. You could probably do something with a team total potentially on top of it if you want to build out a same game parlay. Try not to kill yourself with correlation tax. Sometimes that kills your bets. That's where it gets a little tricky. But for me, this is a game with a lot of promise and some potential points. Maybe like a greasy first half over and then pick a side. I don't really want to go to a first quarter over. Georgia over 27.5. That's absolutely playable. If you have props, you can look to those. I don't, but either quarterbacks over on their passing yards. Pretend, shop the number, of course. I don't know what it is because it's not available in my state. But yeah, just keep that in mind. But as you can see, there are boosts for all these marquee games, and that's going to give you an opportunity to play them confidently without having to worry. Look at this. Games of the week, yeah. And or what are we getting here? 50% boost. So yeah, if you're using a 50% boost, it's almost impossible to screw that up. Obviously, you can still make it better or worse, but that type of boost is going to do the work for you. You will be in good shape with that. So long roundabout way to say, I'm leaning Georgia. That's where my interest is for the game. But again, get over to tails and see what I actually put on the card as we get closer to Saturday. All right, let's do a quick roundup here, and we'll bounce on out. If you have any questions at all, you can find me on Twitter at JazzRazBets, on this very channel, of course, on Tails as well. Happy to help. Love talking college football. If I didn't get to a game and you want a quick thought, just tweet me, and I will be responding in my Discord as well. Let's go through Illinois. I said a little greasy, but I'll take my 7. Penn State, -3.5. One of, if not my favorite bet of the week. And then Georgia, probably boost only, but that is the sign I lead to. Over here on FanDuel, we had 2 matching type strategies. LSU in the over, Notre Dame in the over. You could make those as same game parlays. I'm not saying I'm doing that. That's just how it's structured. All 4 of those bets are playable to me, though. I think all those teams are going to score. I simply think that Notre Dame and LSU are really going to have their way offensively. The secondary for Ole Miss and Arkansas's rush, front is not going to be able to stop any of that. And on the flip side, Ole Miss and Arkansas will still get some points. Those 2 teams played, and they showed. They're both prolific scorers in their own right. Couple greasy ones to keep an eye on. I said Southern Miss. And yeah, there's going to be a lot more. This is my favorite week of the year so far. Not even close. These are just awesome games. I like a lot of different games. Shout out Old Dominion. Awesome team as well. And we're going to have some fun with it. Hopefully, you found this informative. Hopefully, your card is shaping up nicely. And hopefully, our Saturdays are going to be full of winning tickets. On that note, again, thanks for tuning in. If you could hit the like button on your way out, it would do me a great solid. And make sure you head over and tail everything I got going on in Tails, because I love to sweat out these games with everybody. So good luck. Enjoy a jam-packed Saturday. I'll see you guys soon to talk a little more college football.